Let's start with our first news. The tension between Ilia and Justin has reached a whole new level. What started as a competitive rivalry has now turned into a deeply personal feud, adding even more drama to a fight that already carries huge consequences for multiple divisions. Justin recently shocked many fans with comments that crossed the line from professional competition into personal territory. Known for being one of the most respected and straightforward fighters on the roster, Justin rarely targets an opponent's private life. That is exactly why his remarks caught so much attention throughout the MMA community. Many fans believe this unusual behavior shows that Ilia is genuinely getting under Justin's skin. The rivalry has become increasingly heated, and emotions appear to be running higher than ever before. With both fighters exchanging verbal shots, the anticipation surrounding a potential showdown continues to grow. Ilia did not stay silent after hearing the comments. The former champion quickly responded, making it clear that he was not impressed by Justin's words. Ilia fired back confidently and dismissed the criticism, showing that he remains fully focused on his goals inside the cage. According to many observers, the exchange has created a level of hostility rarely seen between these two athletes. While trash talk is common in combat sports, this situation feels different because of how personal the comments have become. Fans are now closely following every statement from both sides, waiting to see who gains the upper hand before they eventually meet. The growing feud has only increased interest in the matchup. Every interview, social media post, and public appearance now attracts significant attention as supporters analyze every word. The pressure continues to build, and the rivalry is becoming one of the most talked about stories in MMA. One thing is certain, the bad blood between Ilia and Justin is real, and the intensity surrounding this potential fight has reached an all-time high. Both men appear determined to prove a point, making this rivalry even more explosive than anyone expected. Move on to another news. The MMA community was completely caught off guard by the sudden beef between Ilia and Justin. What makes this situation even more surprising is that, just a few weeks ago, the two appeared to be on good terms. Fans are now trying to figure out what went wrong, especially after Ilia previously spoke highly of Justin and described him as a great guy. At the time, Ilia revealed that they had shared a positive conversation, talking about their families, hobbies, and life outside of fighting. Everything seemed respectful between them, but that friendly atmosphere has now completely disappeared. The tension escalated after Justin and his father publicly criticized Ilia. According to them, Ilia has started acting like a king and believes he is above everyone else. Justin's father dismissed the challenge entirely, suggesting that they have heard similar hype before every major fight. He explained that people keep calling each opponent the biggest challenge of Justin's career. Yet, Justin continues to prove himself inside the octagon. He also pointed out that Justin has spent his entire life preparing for moments like this. Since the age of 4, he has dedicated himself to fighting, training relentlessly to reach the highest level of the sport. Because of that, he remains confident that the outcome of this matchup will follow a familiar pattern, with Justin once again proving why he belongs among the elite. However, things became far more heated when Justin took the trash talk to a personal level. During his comments, he claimed that he understands why Ilia's wife left him, a statement that immediately sparked strong reactions from fans across the MMA world. Justin did not stop there. He went on to describe Ilia as a total gimmick, accusing him of constantly seeking attention and acting as though he is untouchable. He claimed that Ilia behaves like a god and called him an annoying little bastard who never stops talking about himself. According to Justin, spending even 30 minutes in a room listening to Ilia would be unbearable. He argued that every conversation eventually becomes centered around Ilia and his accomplishments. Justin finished his rant by doubling down on the personal remarks, saying that he would have left too because there is no way he could tolerate that kind of behavior. The comments instantly sent shockwaves through the MMA community, turning what was once a respectful relationship into one of the sport's most talked about rivalries. Move on to another news. The ongoing tension between Ilia and the Nurmagomedov family has reached a whole new level. This time, Usman stepped into the spotlight and delivered a series of sharp comments aimed directly at Ilia. According to Usman, the UFC is carefully selecting favorable matchups in order to build Ilia into a bigger star, while avoiding certain dangerous contenders who could create serious problems for him inside the cage. Usman specifically pointed to Arman as an example. He argued that despite repeatedly proving himself as one of the division's top fighters, Arman has continued to face title setbacks and missed opportunities. In Usman's view, that situation highlights how the promotion has handled the lightweight division and protected certain athletes from the toughest available challenges. These comments came shortly after Justin spoke about the upcoming fight and addressed the growing belief that many fans are overlooking his chances. Justin admitted that Ilia is a special fighter with undeniable talent, but he also reminded everyone that MMA is one of the most unpredictable sports in the world. He explained that fans often count fighters out before a fight, only to watch those same fighters pull off incredible victories. For Justin, this matchup represents a huge opportunity to prove that persistence and faith in the process can eventually pay off. He said that throughout his career, he has continued moving forward, even after setbacks and disappointments. Justin reflected on his loss to Max, describing it as a blessing in disguise. Rather than allowing that defeat to define him, he believes it has created the perfect setup for a comeback story. He explained that a victory over Ilia would help erase the memories of previous losses and completely change the narrative surrounding his career. To Justin, the reward attached to this fight makes the challenge even more meaningful. Meanwhile, Usman continued his criticism by taking aim at the upcoming White House event. He claimed that despite the attention it has received, it is not nearly as massive as some people are making it out to be. Usman even joked that many people still do not know much about the event itself. He then turned his focus back to Ilia, arguing that the blueprint to defeat him is actually quite simple. According to Usman, strong wrestling, effective grappling, disciplined movement, and consistent leg kicks are enough to create major problems for Ilia. He repeatedly emphasized that attacking the legs and controlling the pace could be the key to victory. Usman finished his rant by mocking Ilia's size, laughing about the height difference, and continuing the war of words that has already sent shockwaves through the MMA community. Move on to another news. Arman recently shared his thoughts on the highly anticipated showdown between Ilia and Justin, and his comments gave fans an interesting look into how he views the matchup. While many people seem convinced they already know how the fight will play out, Arman made it clear that counting anyone out in MMA is always a dangerous mistake. According to Arman, Justin remains one of the most experienced fighters in the sport. He pointed out that veteran fighters often find ways to surprise people when expectations are at their lowest. Arman referenced Justin's past performances as proof that experience can sometimes overcome the odds and completely change the outcome of a fight. When the conversation shifted toward predictions, Arman admitted that there is still a lot of uncertainty surrounding the matchup. However, he revealed that if he were looking at the betting lines, he would actually consider putting money on Justin. The reason had nothing to do with disrespecting Ilia. Instead, Arman explained that Justin is viewed as a big underdog, and underdogs often present the most attractive betting opportunities. Arman suggested that the odds may be giving Justin less credit than he deserves. In a sport as unpredictable as MMA, one moment can completely change everything. Because of that, he believes writing off a fighter with Justin's experience could end up being a costly mistake. The discussion then turned toward Arman's own future and which opponent he would prefer to face next. Without hesitation, he admitted that the fight he wants most is against Ilia. While he acknowledged that Justin winning could create a different path for the division, Arman made it clear that Ilia is currently the matchup that interests him the most. One of the main reasons is the amount of tension that has developed between them. Arman pointed out that Ilia has been doing a lot of talking lately, and that personal rivalry adds another level of excitement to a potential fight. He believes fans are naturally drawn to matchups where there is genuine emotion and competitive animosity involved. Arman also emphasized that clashes between two young fighters are often the most exciting because both athletes are still building their legacies and chasing greatness. In his view, that combination creates a massive attraction for fans. The conversation eventually reached an even bolder conclusion. Arman agreed with the suggestion that a fight between him and Ilia could actually be bigger than a fight involving Islam right now. He explained that the existing beef between him and Ilia has already generated enormous attention, making it one of the most anticipated matchups currently available in the UFC. With tensions continuing to rise, Arman versus Ilia is quickly becoming one of the hottest rivalries in MMA. Move on to another news. The discussion surrounding Islam's next opponent continues to heat up, and now Cormier has shared his thoughts on the situation. With multiple contenders making their case for a title shot, fans remain divided over who deserves the opportunity the most. One of the leading names in the conversation is Ian Gary. Ever since his impressive victory over Belal Muhammad, Gary has been extremely vocal about wanting a championship opportunity. Many fans believe his technical striking style would create a fascinating matchup against Islam. The fight would likely turn into a high-level chess match on the feet, with both fighters attempting to outthink and outmaneuver one another over 5 rounds. On the other side of the debate stands Michael Morales. The undefeated contender has been building serious momentum and recently scored a massive victory over Sean Brady. Morales brings a completely different set of challenges to the table. Along with his wrestling pedigree, he possesses explosive athleticism and genuine knockout power, making him a dangerous threat for anyone in the division. Because of those contrasting styles, opinions throughout the MMA community remain split. Some believe Gary has done enough to earn the opportunity, while others feel Morales deserves the shot after maintaining his unbeaten record against increasingly difficult competition. During the conversation, Cormier also addressed speculation surrounding another possible challenger. He revealed that he had recently spoken with Du Plessis, who apparently believes Islam wanted to fight him because he considered it the easier matchup. However, Cormier made it clear that he disagrees with that assessment. According to Cormier, there is no such thing as an easy fight at the elite level. He emphasized that Du Plessis is an extremely tough competitor and insisted that Islam would face a major challenge regardless of who ends up standing across from him in the octagon. In his view, every potential opponent presents a unique set of problems that must be solved. When discussing who he personally expected to receive the next title shot, Cormier admitted that he initially leaned toward Ian Gary. Based on recent momentum and the amount of attention surrounding his name, Gary seemed like the logical choice. However, new information may have complicated the picture. Cormier revealed that his son recently pointed out a social media post from Morales that immediately caught people's attention. Morales reportedly shared a photo featuring himself alongside Hunter and Dana, thanking them while also including the date for UFC 330. That single post instantly sparked speculation across the MMA world. Fans quickly began wondering whether Morales may already know something about the championship picture that has not yet been officially announced, creating even more buzz around Islam's next opponent and leaving the MMA community eagerly awaiting confirmation. Move on to another news. Major updates have emerged regarding Islam's future in the UFC, and the latest comments from Cormier have given fans plenty to talk about. For months, speculation has surrounded both Islam's next opponent and the possibility of retirement, with many wondering how much longer the champion plans to compete at the highest level. The discussion became even more intense after Islam's longtime coach, Javier Mendez, previously suggested that the champion might only have around 3 fights remaining before calling it a career. That statement immediately sparked debate throughout the MMA community, as fans began trying to predict how much time Islam has left at the top of the sport. However, Cormier recently offered a different perspective on the situation. While acknowledging that Islam has already achieved more than most fighters could ever dream of, he suggested that new opportunities may have changed the outlook of the champion's career. According to Cormier, becoming a double champion has opened the door to a whole new set of exciting challenges. Instead of running out of goals, Islam now has access to fresh matchups, new divisions, and legacy-defining opportunities that could keep him motivated for much longer than people originally expected. During the conversation, Cormier was asked about Islam's future schedule and whether the champion might only have 1 or 2 fights left before walking away from the sport. While he avoided revealing any confidential information, he made it clear that he believes these new challenges could play a major role in extending Islam's competitive career. Cormier also touched on a common observation regarding many elite fighters from that region. Historically, several champions have chosen to retire while still near the top rather than continue fighting deep into the later stages of their careers. Because of that trend, many fans naturally assume Islam could follow a similar path. At the same time, Cormier emphasized that Islam now finds himself in a unique position. He has already secured his place among the sport's elite, but the opportunity to pursue additional accomplishments may be difficult to ignore. Those possibilities could provide enough motivation to keep him competing longer than expected. Meanwhile, attention continues to shift toward the identity of his next opponent. The conversation appears to be narrowing down to 2 leading candidates, Ian Gary and Michael Morales. Both contenders have built strong cases for a title opportunity and bring completely different styles to the table. As speculation continues continues to grow, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. Islam's future remains one of the biggest stories in MMA right now. Whether it involves another title defense, a new challenge, or eventually retirement, every update continues to generate massive interest throughout the fighting world. Move on to another news. Dustin recently shared his thoughts on a potential showdown between Conor and Max, and he raised serious doubts about whether Conor would be willing or able to engage in a full-on firefight if the fight reached the final seconds. The discussion centered around one of Max's most famous habits. Whenever a fight enters the closing moments, Max has shown a willingness to point to the center of the cage and invite his opponent to stand and trade. It is a move that has become legendary among fight fans, but Dustin is not convinced that Conor would accept that invitation if the fight lasted all 5 rounds. According to Dustin, most people already believe the fight probably would not reach the championship rounds. However, if it somehow did make it to the final 10 seconds, he questioned whether Conor would still have the physical energy necessary to engage in that kind of wild exchange. Dustin pointed out that Max is a unique fighter because his speed and output remain incredibly high, even late into fights. While many athletes slow down as fatigue begins to take over, Max seems to operate differently. In fact, his pace often becomes even more intense as the fight progresses. Reflecting on his own experience, Dustin admitted that when he faced Max, he had no interest in taking unnecessary risks during the closing moments. He joked that there was no way he wanted to get caught or knocked out in the final seconds after all the work he had already put into securing the victory. What impresses Dustin most is that Max's aggressive style is not reckless chaos. Instead, he described Max as someone who remains highly technical even during the most chaotic exchanges. According to Dustin, Max knows exactly what he is doing when he opens up and starts throwing combinations. Dustin also referenced Max's unforgettable finish against Justin, explaining that moments like that prove how dangerous Max can be when he senses an opportunity. Even when fights become frantic, Max maintains control and continues making smart decisions under pressure. Another major factor is Max's incredible cardio. Dustin described it as something almost impossible to match. He explained that while many fighters maintain a steady output through the early rounds, Max somehow finds another gear later in the fight. Instead of slowing down after throwing dozens of punches in the first few rounds, he actually increases his volume and pushes the pace even harder. For Dustin, that relentless pressure is exactly why he remains such a huge fan of Max. He believes the famous point-down moments are completely genuine, not something done for show. When Max invites opponents to trade, he truly means it, and he is fully prepared to engage in an all-out war until the final bell.